Hello everybody, welcome back to Zlatan's Fight Picks. Thank you for joining me again today. Today we will go over the October 7th fight night, Dawson versus Green. We haven't done one of these in a while. Hopefully we'll get back into rhythm and do the follow-up. We'll go over the fights. We'll go over the fights not necessarily in order, but we'll go in our order of most confident to least confident, and we'll see what we did. I mean, we did okay. I mean, it was kind of a weird fight card. Some kind of, weird outcomes. I mean, it kind of always happens. It's always something weird happening. But unfortunately, we didn't call all of the weird things that are going to happen. That's the only problem. I mean, it'd be fine if it was weird, but as long as you get it right, who cares if it's weird? All right, we'll go over the most confident pick was Drew Dober. We did have a parlay buster warning because it was minus 430. I mean, there's paths to victory for Glenn. You just don't want to be overconfident, and it just wasn't worth putting him in like any kind of big parlays because the payouts wouldn't be there and the risk would still be there. I mean, looking at the fight, Drew Dober dominated him, took him out, TKO'd him. I mean, it's as expected. There was a reason why he's the favorite. But there was, moments in that fight where Glenn, he caught Dober a couple of times, and I think he went down on the ground. And I don't know, he seemed to like put up a pretty good fight. I mean, Glenn's problem is the fact that he's got no defense. He's got no striking defense. His striking defense is basically just to get punched in the face. And I'm sure that worked when he was younger, but it looked like Father Time hasn't been good to Glenn. So he didn't take the punishment for long. And eventually Dober did catch him and knock him down and TKO'd him. But there was moments in that time where Glenn did catch Dober. And I gotta admit, Dober did take the punches. But to me, when I saw him take these punches, to me, and maybe I'm biased because of the last knockout, I just didn't see the same 100% Drew Dober. I saw maybe 90% Drew Dober. So I have no doubt that chin is wearing out. Not terribly, and it wasn't tested enough this time, but I could see it slightly, the punches were slightly affecting him. He did get tagged. And like I said, Glenn didn't do too bad in the short period of time that he was fighting. He didn't do too bad. His defense was terrible, but he did land some punches. He seemed pretty confident, competent on the ground, and we knew he was. Glenn's just not the same fighter. Period. I mean, if we think Drew Dober's chin is going, I mean, Glenn's chin is definitely way past that. Nevertheless, Dober was the pick. We weren't encouraging any bets because of the downside to the Glenn's abilities. So anyways, but I mean, for the degenerates, myself, I actually did have Dober in a parlay. So I was just warning everybody else not to put him in a parlay, but I did have him in a parlay. But like I said, I had him in parlays where I actually had Glenn, just because there was just such a huge payout, and I don't know, just for me being the degen that I am, sometimes I just like to put a little bit of money on smaller parlays with longer shots just to see how they turn out. But I mean, that's just for entertainment purposes. But realistically, Dober was the pick. Wouldn't have encouraged a parlay bet just because of the downside of it. Second most favorite of the card, Dawson. Now, this is the part that, I mean, Dawson was the pick, but if anybody watched this live stream, not the live stream, but the podcast, I said that I am picking both because there is a shot that Green could do this. He's a huge underdog. Again, like the parlay buster, he's got a path to victory. I've been doing this a bit for the main cards just because especially when I see even huge favorites, I just find it's amazing how things just happen. Anyways, who knows why they happen the way they happen. But nevertheless, This was a pick both scenario for me. So I picked one parlay with Dawson, one parlay with Green, and guess what? Well, the long shot came through. So he had a path to victory. He did it. We picked it. I picked it. I picked the. Well, I picked both, but I mean, I picked it correctly because I did have both. Because I definitely thought he had a path to victory. It definitely saved one of my parlays where I had both ways with Dawson and the same parlay without Dawson, but substituting for Green, and it worked out great. I never expected it. Well, I expected it a little bit, but I mean, definitely Dawson was the pick to win this fight. But stranger things have happened, you know. Nevertheless, this was correct. This was marked as correct because it was a double pick. Moving on, Pfeiffer. Pfeiffer was the pick again. Parlay Buster, Al Hassan, and here's the thing. Pfeiffer, way better wrestler, took him to the ground. I mean, Al Hassan, very tough guy, and the reason why I said you could possibly have a parlay buster, and you saw the fight. I mean, if Pfeiffer does not get Al Hassan out of there, Pfeiffer might not be able to walk in the second and third round. Like, he was getting hurt in the leg. The leg kicks were affecting him huge. I mean, who knows what could have happened right after that. Legs could go. All of a sudden, his stance switches. All of a sudden, Al Hassan is better timing or better range and can knock Pfeiffer out. There was definitely a path to victory for Al Hassan, which is why I said, be careful. It could be a parlay buster. And if you watch the fight and you see how badly he damaged Pfeiffer's legs, I mean, it was pretty bad. So, I mean, Pfeiffer was the pick. He should win. It was a warning to the parlay buster. Yes, that was the pick. It was correct. Al Hassan had a path to victory, and he did hurt Pfeiffer. I mean, not necessarily knock him out hurt, but, with leg kicks, calf kicks, to be exact. But anyways, correct. Now we're going into our first incorrect. De La Rosa, loser. So here's the thing. For the longest time, if you've been watching the show, I used to pick women within my parlays, and then I was just so inconsistent with just not my picks, but just the way the women's fight would evolve. So they always end up way closer than they should be. They always go to a decision, split decision. I said, you know what, we can't do this. So I would always move my women's picks down into my 50 plus range, where I would be just above the 50 plus range or in this range down here, no matter how confident I would be with the women to win. This time I changed it. I think I changed it last time as well. So I was kind of, what was that? I lulled myself into this false sense of security where it's like, okay, well, you know what? It doesn't look too bad. You're picking them pretty good. And then De La Rosa shows up. De La Rosa, she was a high confident pick. She was fighting JJ Aldrich, which I didn't think was good. And you did the MMA math. You saw De La Rosa fight a higher level of competition and do much better against them. She beat Lipski. JJ lost against Lipski, all the MMA math. One thing I did not anticipate is De La Rosa, who was a college wrestler, who came into the UFC with a wrestling base and has only been winning using her wrestling base. And to her credit, she was a terrible striker, and now she has moved up to being an okay, barely okay striker. She did not attempt a takedown. There was maybe what you can call an attempt, a semi-half-hearted attempt at a takedown in the last half of the third round. Up to that point, she didn't attempt a takedown. So the wrestler, who's not a good striker, chose not to wrestle. And she lost the decision. Well, there's a surprise. JJ Aldrich was obviously the more technical striker. Is she that much better than her? No, but she is better than her. Why, up to now, your entire career in the UFC, you've wrestled better competition. she fought Bueno Silva. She fought what's the other wrestler? She has fought the top level girls in this division, and she's tried to wrestle all of them. She didn't try to wrestle JJ Aldrich. You wrestled the top level girls. You know, you even wrestled Lipsky, who beat JJ Aldrich. What's the other one? Was not Cortez. What's the? There was another wrestler, the Mexican girl. She's a really good wrestler. What's her name? It slips my mind. Anyways, she just came back after a long layoff. She's great. She's a great wrestler. She tried to wrestle her. She tried to wrestle everybody, but she did not wrestle JJ Aldrich. Now here to tell me, okay, De La Rosa is going to come in here and go fight for 3 rounds and not try a takedown. I would never pick De La Rosa. Why would I pick De La Rosa? The only advantage she has is the fact that she can take people down. That's the only advantage she has. She's not a good striker. She's improved to be barely okay. Anyways, she ended up losing a decision to JJ Aldrich. She took this fight on short notice. She was probably still in shape from the last fight. I'm never betting on this girl again. Ever. As a matter of fact, if she's ever fighting, I'm going to probably fade her. Because if she's that dumb, and her coaches, like, I mean, are you guys stupid? The whole path to victory for De La Rosa was wrestling. Her whole career is built around wrestling. And it's not like you tried to takedowns and they were being stuffed. There was no attempts. There was no attempts. That's like we could sit here and say, oh, JJ Aldrich stuffed all the takedowns. Okay, that would be fine. But there were no attempts. Anyways, that's the part that really destroyed a lot of the stuff I had going on. Is I never expected that mental breakdown from this fighter and her corner. Like, it just doesn't make any sense how you can go into this fight as a wrestling background, as wrestling base, where your entire career is based on that, not to try and wrestle. Anyways, loser. Fact is that I'm never gonna trust this girl again. I've never seen anything quite like it. I've seen people go in and attempt and fail and say, man, you know, this person sucks, I'm not gonna bet on them or whatever, or fade them. But this person didn't even try. So their whole mental, and then the corner didn't say anything. I didn't hear the corner say anything like, hey, you gotta try something. I don't think they did. I mean, if they did, she wasn't listening. I didn't hear it. Anyways, moving on. Boyd, the fight didn't happen. I don't even know what happened. Nevertheless, that was a Boyd. Murata, robbery. Well, here's the thing. It was a close fight. Murata was a heavy favorite. I watched the fight. Murata, I mean, she did exactly what everyone expected her to do. Take this girl down, lie on top of her, land a couple shots. And that's what she did. And, I mean, she clearly won the 3rd round. I thought she won the 2nd round. I thought she even won the 1st round. Okay, maybe it was really close, and maybe you can give it to Demopoulos for all the strikes from the ground and, you know, the submission attempts from the bottom. Okay. Which was another one where it didn't work out quite like that. Submission attempts from the bottom. The Morona one, anyways. So nevertheless, so, you know, you've got all the submission attempts, and I mean, I was surprised that she didn't get it. You know who else was surprised that she actually won? Was Demopoulos. If you watch the announcer announce that Demopoulos won, and it took Demopoulos a second to realize that she was just announced the winner. And you can tell that she did not think that she was going to win this. 100%. Like, her expression was like, what just happened? Oh my God, I actually won. Like, seriously, nobody thought she won. The announcer didn't think she won. I didn't think she won. Demopoulos didn't think she won. Murata didn't think she won. Nobody thought she won. But anyways, she was kind of robbed. Murata should have got the decision. And here's the thing. I mean, the reason why I even picked Murata is because, like I always said, UFC wants certain people, certain fighters from certain regions to be called upon when they're in that region. Murata was the perfect pick. What I'm surprised at in a close fight like this, that Murata didn't get the victory, because it just makes sense for the UFC to have her with a victory, ready for the next fight in Asia. Demopoulos, she's going to go soon. She's 34, 35. You know, she's not like some huge draw. I mean, there was no benefit, business wise for that. So that's why I knew it would be a close fight, but I did not think Murata could lose a close fight. But, well, you can't be perfect on that one. Nevertheless, I think she was robbed. She should have won that fight. Kawakiewicz, like I said, Balbita, she's got a good 1-2 and a good front kick. And she keeps her chin down and she throws and she's tall for the division and she's strong. But, she's not super talented or anything. And she's got that only one thing. And Kawakiewicz is a more technical striker and she proved it. She got past that front kick. She moved side to side. She had good striking defense. She figured it out instead of, coming in, throwing, she's because Balbita has that high guard, and she's got her chin chucked, and all you see is her forehead. And, KK, Karolina Kawakiewicz, she's a good technical striker, and she started landing those uppercuts. Right, she's starting with the right hand uppercuts, and she was scoring big time on her, and that was the perfect shot, and that's because she's a good striker. She figured it out. Anyways, she won all 3 rounds. I was pretty high confident that worked out. Like I said, the ones that didn't work out is this one, which is robbery, and this one, well, this girl just lost her mind. Anyways, Algeo, as expected, Algeo won the fight. I think he might have lost 1 round, maybe, but. He's more durable, he's longer, he's trickier, he's hard to hit, although he's not too hard to hit, but yeah, he's hard to hit. He's got some good movement, but he could take some punches when he does get hit. Great cardio, and he's always fun to watch. I like that guy. So anyways, of course, he won, beat Hernandez, and I told you my first impression of Hernandez ever is when he tried to sucker punch the guy who tried to shake his hand in the first fight ever in the UFC. Never respected him ever since then. Algeo won that fight. Should have won that fight. Kind of an easy pick. I should have had him a little higher up on this parlay and possibly just bumped De La Rosa right out of there, right? But who's to know? Nevertheless, we had the power of Hernandez always in the background where this guy could do something, and Algeo, who's never been knocked out, who knows, right? One of those power shots can land and, you can steal rounds. That was the premise of where I had Algeo. Eric Quillang, as expected, beat Munoz. Munoz is not a great fighter. Eric Quillang, much better striker. Overall outworked him. He put himself some bad spots once in a while, but he fought through it. He's tough. He's bold. He goes for it. He doesn't lay back. He wants to knock you out. He wants to ground and pound you. He's a lot of fun to watch, and he looked like his chin was pretty good. I think he got tagged 1 time, and he recovered pretty good. So he looks like he recovered from the big nasty knockout from what's that? Zahabi. Anyways, nevertheless, that was correct. That was not a hard pick. Like I said, the parlays as I built them was good. It's these 2 girls. She got robbed. It wasn't her fault. This girl, it is totally her fault. But taking those 2 out, it would have been a good run. Nevertheless, Morono. Morono, you know what? He did well for the first 2 rounds. He's a more technical striker. And like I said, what's his name? What's that guy's? What's his name again? Buckley. Yeah, Buckley's more explosive. He's more technical, and Morono did catch him a few times, and even when he got taken to the ground, Buckley took him to the ground, couldn't control him at all. Morono, off his back, tried multiple submission attempts and came close, reasonably close in a couple of them. And in one of those fights where Murata had Demopoulos on her back, and she was striking and throwing up submission attempts, they had given at least one of those rounds to Demopoulos, even though she was on the bottom. That didn't happen with Morono. There was one time where he got taken down, and through the whole time since he got taken down, from the moment he got taken down, he had 2 submission attempts on Buckley. Buckley didn't land any punches. He was just defending. That round could have easily gone to Morono based on that assessment, right? but they gave it to Morono, to Buckley, because he got taken down. But up to that point, the striking was fairly even as well. The whole point is Morono definitely had a path to victory. I think it was a lot closer than what they gave it to him for. The third round was different. Third round, he got dominated, he got clocked, he got tagged, and it looked like either he got tired or he got tired right after he got tagged. Nevertheless, he was the underdog. I went for the better technical striker. A couple things changed. He could have pulled it off, but it was, he got tagged in the third round. He definitely lost the third round. Buckley, to his credit, took some shots, was very explosive and got the win. And he got the takedowns. They were just basically, double leg takedowns, took him to the ground. There's no control time or anything. Nevertheless, Buckley pulled it off. I'm not mad at him, but yeah, that was a bit more risky. That's why they're the bottom two. Morono was the second least confident pick. I wanted to pick an underdog. I thought he can do it. Now here's the thing. My least confident underdog pick would go to Maness. Now I had picked Maness originally, okay? And I put this down. First impression. My first impression for Maness was he could beat this Mendonca guy. Okay. And I gotta admit, because it was my least confident pick, I let other factors and other people kind of sway me to pick Mendonca. And that's, I guess, this is one of the reasons why. When I make my picks, there's two things I don't do. When I make my picks initial view of them, I never look at the odds. And I never listen to anybody else or anybody else's opinion until I make the decision on each and every single fight. Because of this. Because what happens is, if you even listen to anybody, you just don't know what kind of influence they have on your thinking pattern. So I try to do all my assessments before I've seen anybody else. Only after I've made my picks do I listen to anybody else or watch someone else or get someone else's opinion. But I try never to change it. But because this was such a low confidence pick, I kind of let it sway me a little bit. But nevertheless, not like the Mendonca didn't have a path to victory. I thought Maness had a pretty good path to victory, but Mendonca almost gave it to him. I don't even know what he was doing. I guess he had a hard time hitting him, so he decided he was going to take him down. He had a hard time controlling him on the ground, so he said, you know what, I'm going to go for leg locks. And these guys who relentlessly go for leg locks always get pounded into the ground, especially with a guy who's so tall, could literally reach over and kept punching Mendonca while he's trying to straighten out his leg for the leg lock. So, it was just a bad strategy. First impression should have been Maness, should have stuck with it. But like I said, it was such a low confident pick, such a big underdog. I'm like, man, maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, anyways, let's just stick with it. Nevertheless, we did okay. We got, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was wrong in the end, but so, 1 wrong, 2 wrong, 3 wrong. We didn't do that good, actually. So 4 wrong. This was a robbery. This one, she didn't do anything. He lost fair and square. Shouldn't have switched the pick. But, it's one of those cards, eh? But I'm just happy to be here with you guys talking about it. Nevertheless, I've got the other picks ready. I'm going to do a podcast tomorrow. I hope tomorrow. It's ready to go. There was a couple I was kind of humming and hawing on the next October 4th card, which is Yusuf and Barbosa. So that's ready to go. Well, thank you very much for joining me. Don't forget to press like. If you ever want to subscribe. You get notifications when the next video is up. Hopefully you did well on this card. Like I said, if you bet individually, we're still up. We did do some okay bets. Unfortunately, there was a couple of ones right in the middle, which kind of would have ruined any decent sized parlays. But nevertheless, I think I'm gonna fix that for next card. All right. Well, thank you very much for joining me, and we will see you in the next podcast.